Sanjay Vallabh is the managing director of Vallabh Associates, an organization that aids the development and growth of manufacturing SMEs through access to trade finance and working capital that matches their business development, export, and expansion priorities. In this podcast, we talk to Sanjay about developing business through networking with an emphasis on learning from the corporate world.
And for those that don't know you, Sanjay comes from the world of finance, started off in the corporate life, and now is a consultant helping people with their larger their financial issues in terms of business and so on. But Sanjay, great to see you. I know we had a quick chat the other day. How
Thanks,
are
Mike. Yeah, I'm very good, thank you.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody, you went from the corporate world into running your own setup. So for you, presumably that was quite a change, because you were used to people. There were marketing people and sales people and HR people and all the rest of it. So coming into the world of doing your own thing, how did you approach business development as a because you had to get business for yourself?
Yeah, very much so, Mike. I mean, it's interesting. So I've previously setting up my own business. I've only ever worked for large, big corporate businesses and in the financial world. So it was a bit of a step change, because I was largely internally focused because of what I did was very niche. So I always had a lot of internal traffic coming into that. I suppose when it comes down to business development for my business, the key thing is for me is I operate from a referral business. So I don't actively market myself or do advertising campaigns. It's very much through connecting through people and getting the referrals that come in from there. So how I had to do that was sort of take a step back and sort of think, what best way for me to do that? And I got some really good advice early on. And that advice was, look, whenever you're running your own business, it's a reflection of your personality. So don't try and be somebody else. Just be yourself, but be the best version of yourself that you can be. So, the principles I look at is, look, there's no right or wrong way to do business development. You have to find your way. And it's not necessarily about believing the hype. So when I talk about believing the hype is, I think over the COVID period, there was a lot of noise around LinkedIn is the predominant conduit to do, business development or networking. Absolutely, digital plays a part in it, but it's not the only way. So the way I look at it is I try and break it down. What am I looking for in part of my business development activity? Is it marketing and promotion? Around what I do and how I spread my message to the different sort of people I want to work with in my community. Is it around education? So what I do in the finance sector is very niche. So it's not a mass market solution. I'm not going to be working with a huge amount of volume of clients, but it is quite. So my business development has to be around education and how I educate the people I work with and myself, on a continuous basis around what I do and actually what the art of the possible is. Some of the areas that I work in are quite emotive, so people can, sort of take a step back and think, wow, this seems a little bit complex, and may shy away from it. So the education part of what I do in business development is really key. And I suppose the fundamental part of that, Mike, is I'm an originator. So what I mean by that is I don't just go and look at the low-hanging fruit. My philosophy is very much around creating my own opportunities and doing the business that I want to do. And that's what I really focus on, is understanding what do I want out of this? What is the value I can add? And then I focus on that, and I'll give it a go. It works sometimes. It doesn't work sometimes.
It doesn't work sometimes. So how do you articulate that, though? So, I mean, you say you LinkedIn, presumably that is one way of getting the message through. So there's a phrase that people use about, is it thought leadership in your sector? I mean, is that something
Yes.
that you consciously sort of try to develop?
Yeah, very much so. So, for me, it's what am I going to be a leader on? I'm not going to be a price leader, because that's not you're not the market I'm in. So it's very much so around being a differentiator in terms of what I put out there. So, just an example of this is this week we had the budget, and there was a lot of different reports, and I'm sure if you went on LinkedIn, you could find 1,000 different, reports on what the budget was, but it all focused on what was said. So my interpretation of that is actually adding value. So I looked into different aspects of that budget, and I delivered something that's relevant to the type of work I deliver, but it wasn't readily available. And it was to provoke not just thought, but to provoke a bit of education and to say, look, there are these other bits that are in the Build Back Better program. This is how it's going to affect us. And that's what I try and focus on is being a thought leader, adding value. Is some value is, I know we've discussed it in the previous call with Sanjay, but value is key. It's what I'm putting out there. It's not just talking for talking's sake or having a meeting for meeting's sake. It's at the end of that interaction, what value have I gained? But most importantly, what value have I driven back? Into that process, and that is a fundamental part of what I try and focus on when any business development, any marketing, and it comes down to spider's web, doesn't it? This whole spider's web theory, and you can tell I've been on a few courses, Mike, because I can throw out the old phrases on there. But for me, it's you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So there are a lot of strategies, a lot of processes out there. What you've got to do is just find what works for you. And nothing's absolute. If I go and I put out a post or try something, as long as it's not detrimental or very controversial, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and carry on. So yeah, very much so is what it's not just about me. It's what value I can add and how I can help my community be better. And hopefully, if you speak to people I interact with, they will be very, very honest with you in terms of I will offer up, value. If I spot something, I will reframe it in a different way and take it out to my contacts and say, look, this is my interpretation of Brexit, or this is my interpretation of what was said in the budget around international. So I like to put my own spin on it as well.
When you were in the corporate world, and you were obviously there was a point when you obviously decided, what, I'm going to do my own thing. Was there a light bulb moment? Was there something that said, what, I can do this better on my own rather than being part of this corporate body?
No, well, funny enough, no, it wasn't. Well, how I set up in business was actually very different. So I was leaving the corporate world because there was different changes going on, and I had reached my natural conclusion doing what I was doing where I was doing it. So my plans were, and you might argue that this was probably a little bit aspirational, if not naive, was I thought, well, I'm going to take a bit of time off because I've done a long time in this particular organisation, and I'm going to go travelling. And I did. However, I didn't go travelling like when I was 18 or 21 and stayed in hostels. I stayed in very nice places. And I soon realised that if I kept doing this, I'm not going to have any money left. So I came back and thought, right, I need to go and find another role. And when I was speaking to various different employers or organisations, what attracted me was being part of something new, being part of something different. And the feedback I got was very much that was the selling point to me was, come and join this, Sanjay. You can be a part of this organisation. We're going to do something new, something different. And that's when that light bulb moment came, Mike, when I sat there and said, do you know what? I could do this differently myself. Well, and actually, I can then control my own destiny. And that's the trail of thought that I then took with that. But then it rolled and it snowballed very quickly. But what I would say is my life in corporate world did put me in good standing because I worked with businesses for over 15, 17 years. So I had a good understanding of what some of these challenges and some of these hurdles were. And I always like to think I'm quite strategic and I understand the trajectory. So if I wanted to get from point A to point B, it wasn't always the quickest, straightest line. It's what is the groundwork that I need to do in the foundations that will help me get up that line, get up that curve. And that's what I focused on. So a lot of my procedures, a lot of my processes mirror some of the things I used to do in the corporate world, but without the politics, without the baggage, and very much so. If something goes wrong, I just have to look at myself in the mirror, and have that. What you do find difficult is I suppose the direction and the reassurance So I've always had line managers or people I could work with, or mentors that would help direct me and say, yeah, you're doing this well, you're not doing this sort of well. But when you're in your own business, it's blue sky. There is no right or wrong. So that was the interesting part of what I did. So the focus was always something I tried to have, within myself, whatever I was doing, whether it's from an operational side and, doing my VAT return. My accountant might differ, in that sort of thought. But it was, to maintain that focus and maintain my personality was the key thing for me, because when you run your own business, you can run it how you want, can't you? So
how did you get your very first? I think everybody remembers their first client. So how did you get yours?
I don't mind. Yeah, no, interesting. So I set up. I think it was in the August with a view of starting in the December. But what I was being able to lean on was I had a good network of people that I knew that were relevant to what I was doing. So what I did was I came up with a stakeholder engagement plan, very quickly, and said, okay, what my goal is over here. How am I going to get to that goal? I made sure I had very strategic conversations with people very early on, because what I didn't do was leave my old organization. And some entrepreneurs do this, and it's actually, I think it's quite a prudent way of doing it, is almost have a bank of people they could go back to. I didn't have that, because that's not the trail of thought that I did. So it was very much through people and getting them to understand what value I could deliver, not just for that client or for that piece of business, but for them. Because I work in a referral business, I'm not just representing myself, I'm also representing you, Mike. For example, if you have referred me on to somebody, how I interact with that person was key. And thankfully, people trusted me, and that was really heartening, because when you're setting up business, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right way that I should be doing it? And some very serious people trusted me very quickly, because they knew that regardless of what the issues that their client had, they know that I would deal with it in the right way. I wouldn't just try to try and earn a fee out of this. I would, I have integrity and, honesty, I'd like to think, and, and a positive attitude. So, and the key thing I do is I love my, my subject matter. I'm really passionate about it. I'm probably not as, I don't have a high level of energy. I'm not, in everybody's face with it. But when I talk about what I do, I think it's very evident that I have a real passion for it. And that shows. And that passion translates into interest, Mike. So, I'm very interested in what people do. So that was evident. So, yeah, when I got my first piece of business, I can tell you the time and day. When I got my signed engagement letter back, and the feeling of euphoria. And then that was very, very quickly followed by, my God, I've got the work. What do I do now?
I know that feeling as well. Yes.
Yeah. And then you find your way. Then you find your way. But you in terms of that, and that's the easy part. Doing what doing the core job is the easy part for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, in terms of we're always talking about networking. Do you have? Are there any specific techniques you've used in terms of networking to help you generate business? Because I know you say you work on referrals, but nevertheless, you still have to put yourself out there.
Very much so, and networking is the starting point of that. Is before you can connect and before you can build a relationship and trust with anybody, you have to have the networking piece. So yeah, very much so. So my networking is not just in a single way. So LinkedIn, I will have a look and see what people are doing on LinkedIn. I will have a look at the different various networks that are out there. What is the relevant things that people go to? I will speak to a number of different people. For example, when I first started having this conversation with Barry around, look, who are the people I need to be speaking to, and where are the places I need to be? And then I quickly found that out. And physical networking for me was a big thing, because in my sector, professionals, we're all social addicts. Everybody likes to sort of, have that social interaction and have that. And I'm not scared of talking to people. Mike. I can do that. And one thing I was very conscious of was what I do in this networking place, and I see it now, and I can be quite objective about it. But if you go into a room and you don't know people, you get different people. You get some who will just stand in the corner, you're shrinking violets, and might be scared of talking to people. There's a different strategy that says, well, the most amount of business cards I get, that means I've had a successful networking, event. Some people will latch onto the person they know and almost just have that conversation with them. For me, I don't put that pressure on myself. I know why I'm there, and it is actually to learn and to get interest and to find out different things. It's not just about myself and self-promotion. So I very much, will, when I'm in these events, is put myself out there. But whether I get 10 business cards, whether I get 1 business card, if I am having meaningful interactions and I am obtaining value and I'm providing value to people, then that is the key thing. Because, especially from a networking point of view, people will talk to each other. So, if I'm speaking to you, met you at a networking event, and you might know that I know Taz or Hami, you will potentially ask them about myself and say, okay, Sanjay, what's he about? So that brand consistency is key, and the way you get that out is through your networking. And it changed over the last 12 months.
I was going to ask that. I mean, clearly we can't stand in a room and have those deep personal conversations in the way that we do. But I mean, but you've been involved with things like Volta Blue and so on, and therefore you've seen the idea of networking morph somewhat.
Yeah, very much so. As a person, I'm a survivor. I think my base philosophy is whenever you go into something new, survive it first. Yeah, you don't necessarily need to get the numbers, just survive. So my initial instinct was, look, I still need to go out and meet people and talk to them. But there was a genuine view from myself too. Initially, when it all happened, it was all a little bit scary, and it was what was going on. Are people okay, genuinely? So that's how I initially reached out to people to make sure, were they okay, how they were. And then it was, look, this is the world we're in. This is the market that we are. Okay, the route to market is different, but my philosophy was still be relevant, be proactive, and most importantly, be visible. So make sure that you did put yourself out there, join these different events. Okay, Teams and Zooms and Google Meets may not be the ideal way of meeting people, but you have to adapt, you change, and you do things differently. But very much as well as part of that is add value. So as part of this process, if I knew somebody was able to offer a solution, might not be for me, but I knew somebody else might benefit for them, I would always try to link them up. And, so connectivity, and I know I've spoken to a number of people on the scheme about this before, but connectivity was key in the last sort of 12 months. So it became less just about what is in it for Sanjay and for my company. It's actually, well, how do I actually be more of a role model? How do I then contribute and help? And that, that was a networking piece. And I think it's interesting, it changed a number of times. So the first lockdown was, we're all in this together. Let's all get this done.
Yeah. For the team spirit.
Yeah, let's get a Zoom or a Teams quiz in, and all that fun stuff. And then it eased. Second lockdown was a little bit more. Well, we've been through this before. The third lockdown was just, another one. Just leave me alone. I don't want to do this. But you have to, and I think Sanjay talked about it before. Is choose your attitude, and things can be difficult. But again, it's about where does that drive and energy come from you? And yeah, I had to do things I was uncomfortable with, but ultimately now, I don't know how I would act now if I go back in a room full of people. Do I shake their hands? Do I give them business cards? We hugging? Don't know. And part of what I did try to do, Mike, was bring the community together. Especially when I talk about the community, I talk about the professional community. So I went out and I put on events and I did a lot of different things with no agenda of, how great Sanjay is around doing this or promoting it, through your socials or your digitals. It was actually, look, let's just get everybody together because people are better for knowing. And actually, the more we know as individuals, the more opportunities that we'll find.
And if I can find you an opportunity that will help your business, and the better you do, the better I will do, because we will all build those relationships and go forward. So yeah, it's an ever-changing feast, and I look forward to what's going to happen this year, especially around the networking piece. And yeah, I think people will be going out to an opening of an envelope pretty soon, because I think we just want to get out there.
I know. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how networking, whether people act in a different way. I'm not sure that people want to going to want to go to these big networking events. I'm just wondering whether networking will become much more, just smaller knit groups of people rather than these big events.
Yeah, but I think it'll be a bit of a mix. Genuinely, yeah. I think when we talk about networking, when you've gone to conferences or seminars, or people are trying to disseminate information or promotion, these type of mediums will become more and more popular, because, as you say, you don't need to get in a car for an hour and a half, get stuck in traffic, get to the event, spend that time there, come back. There are other ways of doing this, and digital is going to be the prime view. I think it will become a little bit more targeted and a bit more selective in terms of what type of events are going to gain people's interest, going forward, and how that is then structured and set up. And I think people will look for more value out of these scenarios. So it's not, I need to meet 10 people. Let's have a meaningful conversation with one or two and build on those relationships and work there. Because what I have to do as well is manage my networking, because I'll get out there. When I do networking, Mike, I go in. So I will do a number of different things. But it's me. I am my business. So you talk about putting it in the funnel, and it will come back out. But pipeline management, how much interaction you're having is quite key as well. And I am notorious at, if I am really busy, I'll complain to you, Mike, I'm really busy. Okay. If I have a brief moment of quietness, I'll think, I've not got working. What am I doing? I need to go off and do something. So
do you have a marketing plan as such that you work to?
I have plans. I think I have a set strategy that I look to follow. And how I then go out and deliver that. So I don't say I'm going to talk to 10 people or 15 people in this sector or that sector. It's a continual process. So it is very much so of speaking to people, building those relationships, and then finding what springs off the back of them. So I know, if when I'm speaking to a lot of people, and I'm having, decent conversations, or I've done a piece of work and I'm sharing what I've done, it will gain interest. So through education of what I do is a key part of what my strategy is. I always say to myself, look, if I'm the smartest person in the room, which rarely happens, then I'm in the wrong room, right? So I always look to better myself and learn more, So I might come across as somebody who's doing corporate finance. Well, what does that mean? Where are the opportunities? Where are the synergies? Because it's not just, look, you get business in one way. The more you learn, the more you educate, the better we will all be. So there are certain steps that I always try to follow, and being disciplined and having that motivation. That's probably one of the key philosophies that I do. Is I may wake up in the morning and I can't be asked today, but I will make myself feel due attitude. So that's what I look to do. Always look to be passionate around how I do my business and how I do my business development, and make that authentic. Because you get a lot of, I know this call's being recorded, so I'll apologize now, but you get a lot of bullshitters out there, and I think the more and more you do this, the more and more you can spot that. So
I think we've all got fairly practiced at recognizing the bullshit, but I think we do recognize when someone is truly enthusiastic for what they do, and why would you use somebody who's not enthusiastic?
No. It's a very fair point, and as part of that, because I worked in large banks, my change was a matter of course. We used to joke that there was a playbook, and once you got to the end of this playbook, you turned it back around and you started again. So, if there wasn't change every 3 months, you'd get a little bit worried. So I always like to embrace and stimulate change. So I know what I do. I have a core for, I know what I'm good at. I know what I don't do. But I always look to change and evolve and embrace it. So okay, these type of events, probably I wouldn't have done it in pre-pandemic, but I am now. So I will go off and work on that side. I think I'm quite focused on what I need to do, and I'm confident. And am I arrogant to an extent? But I think that in a good way, Mike. I'm arrogant in the fact that I know what I'm good at, but I have a passion to always be better.
I wouldn't call it arrogance, it's confidence. And I think, again, if you don't have confidence in your ability to deliver, why would anybody have confidence in you delivering for them?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I think,
and I guess the fundamental part of how I do it is look, you have to achieve through people, and we talked about being a thought leader. You have to be a leader in yourself as a person and within your own business and to yourself before you can do any of that. And I fully appreciate you need to be you need to be somebody that can be collaborative and work with people to get better. And that's what I try and do is my best to stimulate that and make sure it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything this pandemic has done for us, it's first of all is to recognise that sudden change can come at any time, and you have to be of a mindset that says it's changed. There's no point crying about it. You've got to get on with it. But it also, I think we've learned to adapt and to improvise in a way that in the last 12 months probably hadn't done for 10 years previously, I think.
Yeah, very much so. It's a different life, for me, I've grown up with a number of different talents. So embracing change and just getting on with it is part of the course for me, Mike. It's not, I'm lucky that, both through my professional and personal life, dealing with change is just a matter of course. So you just take stock, be rounded, and I find that difficult at times because you can make knee-jerk reactions, and nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect, by any stretch of the imagination. Although I tell my partner that all the time. So you've just got to, sometimes you've got to let things go, and it's difficult. And I think the biggest challenge for me in business, and it was something that I completely ignored, was the emotional impact of when you're doing all of this. Is you might be doing BD, you might be doing networking. You think you've got you've got a strategy and it's all going to work, and it doesn't. And you keep trying, and people say, look, you've got to keep, and it can be disheartening, and you can think, and you can question yourself. But that resilience, I think we all have resilience. If you're on this call or you're running your own business, everybody deserves a huge amount of credit for having that resilience and being brave to be able to do what we're talking about and how we do it. So yeah, absolutely, it's a changing feast, and I know I will never be perfect or the best at it, but I will never stop trying to be perfect or the best at it. And I will just keep going, and you get inspiration from different avenues and different areas in life. Yeah. And I always look for inspiration. And it's an interesting point, earlier on you talked about education, and that's a key thing. People will think that they're educated, and I worked in a very big university town, a very old school university in Oxford at that time, and people thought that if they had a certain amount of letters after their name, or they could say that they could quote Shakespeare or all these things, that they were demonstrating intelligence or but largely they were irrelevant to what they're saying. You could watch a movie and actually take some take some inspiration from there. You could watch some news, you could have a conversation with somebody, you could be on a call like this having a chat with somebody and gain inspiration and education. So for me, and I think for anybody, don't be closed off to where you can educate yourself. Life is, and I always used to say when I worked for people, when I had people working for me, and I was of the same ilk, how can I get more senior role? How can I do better? How can I earn more money? And I was just to say to the people I work with, it's not necessarily what you're earning, it's what you're learning.
Yeah.
As long as you are learning, you are being better, you are doing more. And I still, every day I still learn something new, something different. Some of it can be, you know, rather irrelevant and only be useful in a pub quiz.
Perfectly valid and nice for me. Nothing wrong with a pub quiz now. Absolutely.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I think I've done enough Zoom and Teams quizzes, but yeah, and that helps. I think, Mike, that helps definitely for sure.
Thanks. I'm going to open up the floor to see what questions.
Yeah.
Hamid, have you got any coming through there? That I can...
Yeah, we've got a couple. So this one's from Suki, and he's asking, so Sanjay, if you're working with a referral network, then what kind of ecosystem, if any, do you set up?
So I think there is no formal ecosystem being put into place. It is just a level of understanding. If I'm answering the question here, Harmy, so it is very much so. It's not, well, I've given you one, you give me one back. It's, look, I think that you'll be able to deal with this business and actually add value to them. We do that, and you have a mutual understanding and you have a mutual respect for each other to be able to do that. And it's a rather large ecosystem, and sometimes you will then naturally develop better connections and a better way of working. And I'll give you an example out of that. So I used to work with a number of different brokers and different people that can deliver things that I can't. But over the last 12 months, because there has been that mutual understanding of I've learned more about what they do, they learn more about what we can do, actually the natural synergies have just flown. So you've not had to try hard at this. It is, the relationship is now at points where it's Sanjay's home team or Paulie's home team for me, and we just naturally work together. So in my mind, I am looking consistently for opportunities for that person because I know that they're doing the same for me. But I don't look. You don't have to give with expectation to receive. I think if that sort of helps and bring people together is the best way to create that ecosystem. Create that value and bring people together, because I might not be able to help that person, but I could know somebody else that could. So, does that make sense? First of all, does that clap?
Yeah,
answer the question?
Yeah.
Thanks, Sanjay. I'll put in the next question. It's from Julie. Definitely, I agree. Virtual networking like this is really cool and productive. Don't you think, though, that it's important to once in a while coming together is just as important for reasons of social, real one-to-one, etc.?
Very much so. Very much so. And I think I even said this on a multiple call. For me, and how do I phrase it? It is emotionally very good, and actually it's therapy for me to come on a call and just talk with no agenda. There's everybody's in the same position. We might be in different businesses doing different things, but we all have the same challenges. So the social aspect of what we do here is really important. Or any events like this, and I think it helps you bring you back down to a grounding. So yeah, I think the social aspect and mental health have never been more important in anything that we've done. I think that will be one thing that will resonate from whatever's happened throughout this pandemic is actually the social aspect, and that's why I firmly believe, and I know people have spoken to me already, and I think my liver's going to take a beating from June the 21st onwards, because purely from a social point of view, and the agenda is nothing other than let's just get together and have a chat and be connective, and support each other. So hopefully, out of everything that's happened, I think. As a community, as a country, as people, I think we will all get a lot from the social side and actually understanding, different people's challenges and working with them. So, and I know it was touched on before, and hopefully we'll get to that. We'll get to that position where race, creed, we want to do your best. It doesn't matter, and we're just all people. Well, working in the same way, getting in, all focused.
I found the online stuff as being very levelling. I think it's worked really quite well in that respect. Actually, that it's been. I think people find it quite a safe space online, but also a great leveler. because it's a bit two-dimensional, but that in itself provides a benefit in some ways, because people are there and their face on the screen, and we just take people for what they are on the screen, and don't get into that judgment that sometimes happens when you meet people for the first time in a room.
Absolutely, and one of the funniest occasions I had with that was I was speaking with somebody last year for a number of months, and we were doing it, on through a digital format, and eventually, when we had those few weeks when we could go out and meet people, I met them, and the first comment this person said to me was, "Oh, I thought you were about 6'2". Now, I'm anything but 6'2". But it was great because you couldn't tell. There was no, how tall. And it was just such a funny sort of line that person made at that point, because it was just like, look, what does it matter? How tall but it was just hilarious when he's, when you get those occasions, and you're right, but I do think it is a little bit more social now. Granted, I've blurred my background here, but I always used to, when I'm talking to somebody, Nick was looking around in the background, what books have you got? What picture is that on there? And that would help actually get a bit more of a connection and help from a social point of view.
Well, we have been looking into people's houses quite a lot, of course, which is quite strange.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was on a call with a client today, really, really big business, really, really serious conversation. And there was just moments of levity where the finance directors kept using her as a scratching pole. The other person that was on the call, they were homeschooling, and they thought their daughter was asking a question, but they're asking a question to Alexa, not to them. And they gave a completely different answer to what that person would have given. So it's all these sort of things that were going on, and it was. You just found it just completely broke the ice.
The power of Alexa, yeah.
Yeah, it was hilarious, and at the same time, my Amazon delivery was coming, so bought something else that I didn't need. But hey, that's what you do, isn't it? In lockdown.
What else can you do?
Yeah, you got a box. You got a box for it. So yeah, I think it is a happy medium. I think we will find our way how we use this with face to face. It's here to stay, definitely, and we need to embrace it. But as I said at the start, there is no wrong or right way, around how we get ourselves out there, how we network, how we do business development, and you just got to embrace the different ways of doing it. It might be uncomfortable, but if you are, someone else is. We've all been through this together, so I think it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. But yeah, for sure. I will be out there. I don't know if I'll be shaking as many hands as I used to or giving as many hugs, but I will definitely be out there. But again, I think after being stuck on the M6 or the M1 for a few hours, I will quickly change that view. And I'm
going to try and remember how to iron a shirt, I think, as well. That's the other thing.
Mike, I'll just be glad if I fit into my shirts.
I think a few of us have got that problem, I think.
Yeah, I think I've lived in my tracky bottoms for the last 12 months, and yeah, we've become very good friends. So I dread to think when I have to put my suit back on. And
I know it's going to seem very strange, isn't it, when we have to do that?
Yeah, well, I've got a bet with my partner and what she thinks my belt, what notch it will go on versus what I think it will go on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think I'll win this one.
It is going to be strange, actually, going into room networking, because I'm always a bit like, you probably, I don't know if you ever remember going to a pajama party. We might have, what you were wearing on a Zoom call party or something like that.
Yeah, no, very much so. So if I turn up, if you see me at a networking event in my joggers and a hoodie, then you'll know why. It's not because because I can't fit in my clothes, and I spent all my money buying useless things from online retailers that I don't need. So yeah, that's where I'll be with it all. But no, I think it'll be good, and I would just encourage anybody, if you are nervous, just get out there, get yourself out there, and you've done it here, we've done it on this platform.
Yeah.
Have the safety, as you say, of a screen. You just take that screen away and sort of meet in person. And if you ever do meet me in person, it's an optical illusion. I am 6'3". I am not 5'4". Just bear that in mind.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much, Sanjay.